We got some news to get into today, boys, and we got some interesting ones. A change up in how loot is going to work going forward. A pretty big change, actually. We'll get into that. Also, some more updates to the game, more 12.1 stuff happening. So, a few things dropped over the weekend, as well as an interesting collab coming with WoW. So, we'll talk about that too. Let's jump straight in. In-map coordinates, yes, we talked about it not too long ago. It's basically official now, or not basically, it is official. We are getting map coordinates fully enabled in the game in 12.1, which is great. No longer requiring an add-on for that. That's something that, honestly, I feel like should have been in the game from a long time ago. I mean, people have been using map coordinates since the days of Thoughtbot. So, coordinates in the game officially no longer requiring an add-on. Nice little blurb here from Blizzard. It'll be good to see. Yes, you will be able to pin things on your map too as well, pin coordinates, stuff like that. So these will be nice adds to the game. Moving on, complicit individuals with the big GM-assisted Mythic Plus scandal have now been banned for 1 month. That's right. We already heard the story that the GM themselves that helped these guys. If you don't know the story, guys are running a plus 23. They didn't kill enough mobs towards the end. One of them knew a GM. He reached out to him and asked if he could quickly delete some mobs for them so they could complete the key. The GM did it. And, that's a big violation there. So the GM has already been fired. We know that. But also now that what came out over the weekend is that the players that were involved have now received a 1-month ban from the game as well. So, they're going to miss they're officially going to miss the start of Season 1. So that kind of sucks for them. But, hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I guess. So there you go with that one. Moving on, here is the interesting thing coming with bonus rolls and everything else. So loot and WoW and everything else. Blizzard talked about the current pace of loot and how they want to change it up and how they're using the vault to do that. So the recent pace of game, they said, was a bit quicker than they initially intended due to the combination of unlock timing and the number of void core rolls per week, and the increased relative value of Mythic Plus dungeon rewards was particularly determined to detrimental to heroic rating, which I agree with. Yeah, heroic rating was basically snail's place of gearing out compared to Mythic Plus this last season. Heading into Season 2, Nebulous Void Cores will be available as a Great Vault option from the beginning of the season, directly from the Great Vault UI, and I'll show you guys what that looks like here in a second. Decimus has decided to pursue other objects, but has generously offered to train Orin Straylight in the basics of weaving Nebulous Void Cores from Void Energy. Orin has relocated to the Catalyst in Silvermoon to continue his work. Once players have helped Orin kick off the research at the start of the season, he will require 8 weeks before being able to provide players with Nebulous Void Cores each week. Orin is significantly more independent than Decimus and will not require additional weekly quests for players to do their research. The immediate access to Nebulous Void Cores as a Great Vault reward is intended to allow players to begin the process to getting their desired desired items at the start of the season in a way to offset the reduced quantity and later timing of supplement void cores. So this is how it's going to work. This is what your new screen will look like when you open up your your weekly vault. The thing is, there will be a separate button now for collecting one void core per week. But to unlock that button, you will need to fill out 3 of the boxes from your vault. Whatever 3 they are, it doesn't matter. You could go all single row. You could fill up 1 in each one. But the old way of just kind of, just doing a +2 and that's it, and picking up your, your bad luck coins, that's not how it's going to work anymore. It's got to be 3. So maybe you want to do, 4 delves and 1 Mythic Plus dungeon. That'll be a way to do it, or 1 heroic dungeon. Kill some raid bosses, do a delve. Basically, you're going to have to fill out 3. 3 of these slots will unlock the ability to collect a void core. Now, again, you don't have to collect one. Obviously, if you like one of the pieces of gear, you can take those instead. But this is like the best version of bad luck protection that there is in the game. So this will be nice. Again, this kicks off, it looks like 8 weeks in, and it's not going to be a weekly quest anymore. You do the 1 quest to open up the ability to do this, and that's it. You'll be able to select these anytime that you fill out at least 3 of the squares from this. I think it's a good change. This is a good one, and it'll be nice. Also, if you didn't know, Void Cores in raids will no longer take 2 Void Cores in a raid boss kill to bonus roll. It'll only take 1, just like Mythic Plus. So, yeah, advancing in gear and everything else should be interesting in Season 2. It'll be a different take on it, but I think maybe the best take we've seen just yet. Moving on. Blizzard is increasing the health of everything in Mythic Plus dungeons going forward. So this will be an interesting one. Blizzard has increased the health of all mobs by 4% in all of the Mythic Plus dungeons that have been done in the PTR. Now, the reason they say they're doing this is they want DPS to matter more. Okay, because right now, basically, you got the tank doing the tanking things. They have to pull everything perfectly, and really, that's the biggest indication of almost a pass or a fail on a dungeon. And then you got the healers, obviously. They're very important, healing and doing all the shit they do. If you don't got a good healer, you're not going to finish the dungeon right. Well, they felt like kind of DPS had taken a back seat in terms of what was needed to actually complete a dungeon. So to make DPS more relevant, as they say, they want to make the health a little bit bigger and actually challenge parties to pump their DPS a little bit harder to actually get through the dungeon on time. So yes, a 4% buff across the board to all health in Mythic Plus for the next season, all creature health, and we'll see how that plays out, but that's what they're doing right now. So far, I think Mythic Plus testing has shown that the season should be decently paced, decently easy, but that 4% buff, yeah, DPS is going to better that much more. Moving on. A Game Informer interview with Ian Hazakostas, maybe showing some love to Augmentation Evokers? Maybe. Basically, there was another interview with Ian Hazakostas, and he got into, you know, all the Ula tech stuff, and oh yeah, Zalateth's going to be relevant. We've heard these lines before, and yes, it's another troll patch. No playable Monty trolls, unfortunately. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Venomous Abyss raid, in terms of skill, he says it's very much relevant to how the skill ceiling was this first season, so they want to keep that on track. In terms of PvP, he acknowledged that maybe PvP hasn't got enough attention lately. I feel like I've heard this line before. The PvP community, he said, has shrunken over time compared to raids and dungeons, and they're trying to focus their team and resources proportionally to the number of players that participate in each activity. So he's actually saying they have less people working on PvP because there's less people playing PvP, which almost is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, the less content you got coming out for PvP, the less people are going to do it. The less people that do it, the less people you have making content for it. It sounds like a death ball. But he says PvP is often not approachable, and their focus for this is to cycle and grow the PvP scene. They're trying to create more of an on-ramp to PvP. They want to grow the PvP scene. That was his basic comment there. Okay, if you want to grow it, we'll see. I mean, I tried to PvP the other day. You guys saw me on stream, fucking like 25-minute queues, so that's not very fun. Housing, yeah, more stuff about housing. You got into that. And then add-ons, interesting stuff about add-ons here, and what I mentioned about Augmentation Evoker and stuff. So he said, overall, we're at a B to a solid B- about the good and bad of the removal of add-ons. They've gotten good feedback on things, and players used to be able to do our problem points in the community. One of these was trinkets and potions not being trackable in the cooldown manager previously, and they fixed that. He said there are some loopholes that people found to do computational functionality for add-ons, and they work to prevent those constantly. They still don't want to allow those in the game. There's a big refactor for the buffs and debuffs API in 12.1 coming. So basically reworking how those work, and also closing some loopholes that some add-on authors created there. Another area, the built-in damage meters don't correctly attribute Augmentation Evoker damage, but they are working on a fix, and it should be addressed in an upcoming update. I mentioned that just the other day. I'm like, man, I can't even judge Augmentation Evokers. Like, they might be really good or shit. It doesn't matter. They're always at the bottom of the meters because the damage isn't shown properly. So hopefully Augmentation Evoker damage does eventually get fixed. And then they talk about adding coordinates. Ian talked about how, you know, they went about the process. They just looked at how the add-on was previously made because they realized it's a lot harder than they thought. And yes, coordinates are in fact coming to the game. So that's good to see there. They've also tracked down an auto loop bug. They said it was tricky and it happened on live servers due to latency and things getting out of sync due to client server delays. Loot should now be reliable instead of working on a big new feature for UI, such as the size of a Discord integration. A lot of quality of life changes have occurred in short one-day tasks and stuff like that. So they're working on a lot of fixes to the game, which is good to see. Finally, any D&D fans out there? I don't know if there's any Dungeons & Dragons players. I mean, honestly, oftentimes feels like WoW players and D&D players. There's probably a lot of overlap there, which is why this whole collab makes a lot of sense. Yes, you heard it right. Dungeons & Dragons and World of Warcraft are having a collab. Originally reported by N-World. They have reported on a blog post, Roll20, by they I mean Dungeons & Dragons. They appeared live. They appeared to have gone live Gen Core announcement. Gen Core is taking place between July 30th and August 2nd in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a very large tabletop convention where big announcements often happen, and it looks like D&D has released the pre-orders for a D&D World of Warcraft. That's right, the tagline is pre-orders for D&D World of Warcraft are now live. Your choice, your story, roll for Azeroth. D&D and World of Warcraft pre-orders are now live in this Azeroth, the story, and then there's some other stuff here. So that's a big deal. If anyone's into D&D, yes, you finally get the World of Warcraft edition. I know the community themselves have like player-made versions of World of Warcraft stories in D&D. Well, it looks like now you're going to be able to actually play it out the way it was intended to, an Azeroth-based version of D&D. Besides that, you have Wintergrass. They did put out a new D&D book. Did they? Oh, interesting. I'm not a big D&D guy, but I do understand why this collab would be such a great thing, because I do think the communities overlap a lot. So that's good to see. Other than that, not much other news to get into. We continue to approach 12.1. At this point, we're about like 2 weeks away, so this thing should be dropping soon. But for today, that is all in terms of news.